Hey guys, excited to welcome Mary Dee for her talk, Just Eat the Cake, about finding purpose and joy in your life. And I'm really excited to have her here. She's been a really important person in my life that I've always loved to connect with. And she's a COO for the online business space and mentors people, sits on the chair of the board for the Breasties.org, which is a organization dedicated to helping solve in the world. And part of that has been she's been through the loss of a dog, breast cancer, government lawsuit, lots of trying things, and had been able to come out on the other end of that really successfully. So really excited to have you here, Mary, and I will let you take it from here.
Awesome. Well, hello, and Tim, thank you for that introduction. I am super to be here today, and that all of you have come for the goods, because it is my goal to pack this session value for you, a lot of and things you can actually do to create more joy and more purpose in your life and pay it forward to others. That's part of purpose comes in, is when we pay it forward to others. So with that, what I would say is there's also there's more than enough. I think sometimes it's easy to look at there or do comparisons and say, oh, well, there's only so much of the thing. One of the relationship things I've had to work through in my life is that there are people in my life who really love me, and there's people that I love, and sometimes those people feel like love is like a cake. And so it's in pieces, and there's only so many pieces to give out. But in this scenario, when it comes to enough money and enough friendships and enough relationships and enough abundance, there's plenty of that to them. So think of that as an unlimited supply and not just limited to being an individual cake. But we're going to talk about cake today in a different kind of metaphor that I think you'll enjoy, because I want you guys to have your cake, and I want you to eat it too. So again, my name's Mary Dee, and I'm not going to actually spend very much time talking about me or what I do. You can read that on my site at marydee.com. You can go through my social links in my speaker profile and get an eyeful and an earful there. I've known Tim for quite a few years now, and friends with him and many of the other amazing speakers that you're going to listen to over the course of the summit. And I'm just up. I do believe in connections, and I hope that this is a moment in time for you where you have a moment where you hear an aha thing, or you hear something that reignites a fire in your heart so that you can live out loud. We all have seasons in our life, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. We have kind of up seasons and down seasons, and we have times where we reap and other times when we're sowing. And these are the patterns of life. They're the seasons of life, and it's how it goes. Just like we get, springtime and summertime and fall and winter. It's the same in our lives. And a few years ago, I thought I was having an up season, and digital marketing agency to $0 to $36 million. And when people hear that number, they're like, wow, that's incredible. And what I'll tell you is it was incredibly hard, and it took a lot out of me. It was a big year. It was fun most of the time, but it was definitely a time where things tend to slow down, and it's like watching everything happen in slow motion, even though it's happening so fast. And I thought I was personally in flow, but then the new season showed up for me. And it was a really interesting one, because it's one I never thought, I would have never imagined. And it's also one I never wish to go through again. But I know that adversity in these certain seasons it comes for all of us in some way, shape, or form. And so mine just happens to be in the form of this story that I'm going to share with you. So in my new season, I was actually traveling, and I bent down to do a yoga stretch, and I noticed on my shirt was a little thread. And I pulled this thread went to pinch this thread off of my shirt and actually felt a lump in my breast. And for me, that was very surprising because I feel like I'm responsible and checking myself out. But this was obvious and different. And I can best describe it as it felt like a grape under my skin. And I knew that was a little something I probably needed to go get checked out. And I did. And right before Christmas of that year, the doctors informed me that I had stage 2 breast cancer. And in our family at the time, we had only had experience with terminal cancers of other kinds, but still that was kind of our reference. And so I knew it was going to totally freak my family out for me to show up and say, hi guys, just got a diagnosis. So I actually held on to that for a little bit. I didn't share it. I was really trying to process it. In my mind, I also said, well, maybe I just quietly go take care of this in the best way I can because I don't want to worry anybody. But the supportive piece that comes from wearing that mask of, oh, I'm a strong person, I can do this by myself, is one where we're not really allowing our support structure to really support us and to really help us. It would be like you, well, here in a bigger wheat field, are you going to pick all your wheat self? And that is what I would describe to you as kind of the feeling that I was taking on. Oh, let me handle this and no one needs to know. But in a very stressful situation like that, especially because at that point I actually didn't know it was stage 2, they tell you you have breast cancer and then it's like, and we have to wait to tell you what it is, which is also annoying because now we all go to Dr. Google and we want to type it in and see what is it that we have and how can it be cured and all of the things. And I have nothing to go on. And there's literally thousands of kinds of breast cancer. So really creepy time in my life, and one where I appreciate the fact that I had a bit of a framework to work within to say, no, I'm not going to do this by myself. My husband will be the first person I tell. And then I will tell my family and I'll tell my friends. And then I will go from there. And I think that was a really important thing to do because if I hadn't done that, then by the time I came through the journey where I am today, which is healthy and whole, and actually getting to serve a whole group of women in the breasties as their chair of the board, like that opportunity might have never shown up for me where I can have such a beautiful impact in doing what I do well and also being in supporting a community that really supported me when I was going through a really hard time in my life. But the story doesn't end there because on that same day that I got my breast cancer diagnosis, that I learned that our 4-year-old chocolate lab, she was ready to cross the rainbow bridge. And so my morning was cancer diagnosis and my afternoon was saying goodbye to our little fur baby. And that was hard. That was hard because it felt so final in a time where I'm being faced with cancer. So it was like, really? Life is playing out like a country song. But it gets even worse. And believe you me, I didn't think it could get any worse. I go to have my surgery. Everything's successful there. They amputate my breast, do a reconstruction. 2 weeks after that surgery, my business got hit with a devastating lawsuit. And so devastating that it shut the business down, froze all the bank accounts. And it is a weird, weird place to go from I have everything I need to I've just been cut off from things that I need. And I don't know what the answer is for this. And it brings you back to basics on like what's really important at the end of the day. So there I was, unsure about money, unsure about the future of my work, reflecting on whether the last couple of years were for nothing, feeling challenged about my health, feeling concerned with haunting thoughts that a cancer diagnosis tends to bring with it. And many of you that have been through this pandemic or are struggling with just other things in your life, aside from everything that has has gone pandemic over the last few months, there's some build of anxieties and fears and even loneliness, or even a little bit of despair, a little bit of uncertainty. Like, what does the future look like? You know, next November is an election month. Like, what is this going to pan out to be? You know, so I get it. That there's a lot of these uncertainties that are in front of us. But I do want to share with you a story of hope, because I always believe that there is a silver lining around every single cloud. And I tell you this story because I want you to be sad for me. I tell you this because I believe there is a great lesson in it. And I think that's part of this human experience, is that we get to go through these things and we can choose to share them with each other, learn from each other, and have a better me because of those, versus hiding away and not being transparent about them, or not being open about them. And when you go through a down season, just know there's always a way to swing back into an up season. Sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for your season. So today I have a thriving business again, and more importantly, I get a ton of purpose from the work that I get to do, purpose from being able to share this story, in hoping that it will empower and inspire you no matter what you're going through. I actually named this talk Just Eat the Cake because I am hoping that you'll remember it as a metaphor, so that when you see cake, or when you bake a cake, when someone brings you a cake, I want you to think about this. It's the first rule of this, is that it's really important to shut off perfectionism. And I know for some of you, you're like, but I'm so good at being perfect. It is exhausting. So I want to give you permission to give yourself permission to shut off some of that perfectionism, and don't be so concerned with what other people think, or even with what some of the own thought patterns you might have in your mind. Some of us are our own worst judge, you know, so that fear of the judgment from our internal voice, as well as from others, those both rob us of the gift of actually seeing our cake and eating it too. Have all these what if stories out in our mind. So for an example, like easy for me in this story to have like fallen into the depths of despair, wallow in shame, pity, anger, all the things. And I believe in feeling all the feelings and processing those situations, because being confronted with fears and inadequacies is a good way to like peel a few layers of that and see, what are we actually afraid of? What are we actually concerned about? I also believe acknowledging those things forward. That's how I keep joy and purpose flowing in my life. And this framework I created, I really want to share with you today, in hopes that you can get completely unstuck from any fear, unhappiness, lack of purpose, or any adversity that you feel like you're facing now or might face in the future. So to give you a prime example, let's say that you are not happy with your weight, okay? But it's a beautiful day outside, you're eating at your favorite restaurant, and they present you with your favorite piece of cake. And think about that for a minute. Imagine your favorite piece of cake. It can be pie too. Pick your favorite dessert, put it in front of you. Okay, for me, it's chocolate cake, 3 layers of chocolate dobosh. If you've never had dobosh icing, it's fantastic. The cake's soft and sumptuous, and it knows we're meant to be together. I'm excited. The cake is excited. But then I start to listen to the voice. The voice says, oh, that's probably too sweet. That doesn't fall in line with your diet. If I eat this cake, am I going to have to run to work it off? And oh, and will the people around me give me some side eye and say, this fatty has no business eating that cake? And those are the kinds of thoughts that tend to invade our mind and throw a little monkey wrench into some of our plans sometimes. And it's also important to acknowledge that those confronting and negative thoughts, they can be or objective. They can be there to protect me. They can be there to hurt me. It all has to do with perspective. And if I'm going to let those things encourage me to do the thing I want, which is to eat the example, or if I even want to walk away from the cake, to walk away from the cake if I really want it, like this is the crossroad, right? And right now you're like, Mary, where are you going with this? Are you eating this cake or not? So I will tell you that my point is actually to just eat the cake. Let go of the reasons and the judgments and give yourself permission to do for you. And I'm not saying that you need to eat the entire cake. I'm not saying you need to eat the whole piece. I'm saying even just a bite or two is sometimes just what we need to fulfill, to go ahead and eat our cake. And the problem is we're running around in a world that says we have to have all of this perfectionism and self-control, willpower things. And it does last. You can do those things, a little bit of willpower, but it's not sustainable in most cases. But going ahead and giving yourself permission to eat the cake, that is sustainable. I will tell you that in the fall of 2017, I lost about 30 pounds. And for the first couple months, I denied myself sugar. I denied myself cake. I love boba tea. I denied myself that too. My niece would describe me at that time as hangry. I love sweet things. But for a season, I opted to not. And it was a good choice for that season. But what I also found, again, is sustainability-wise, that wasn't going to work for me. It was too extreme. So I like eating cake, but I also like being at a healthy weight. So this is where our idea of what the cake is shifts a little bit. And in order for me to get both the best worlds, I did learn to eat the cake. Sometimes it was just enough to order the cake, put it on my plate, and give it a sniff. Sometimes I didn't even take a bite. And I know some of you are like, so wasteful, Mary, so wasteful. Yes and no, because you have to remember, like, this is my process for having my cake and eating it too. And I'd rather spend the $5 not denying myself the cake that I want, especially because sometimes just having it in front of me, knowing that I can, was enough. So think about those things in your life that you really want that can represent cake for you, and cake can be anything. It can be the relationships that you want. It can be the weight you want to lose. It can be the career you want to have, the message that you have to get out into the world and, apply to this example. And a great exercise is to write down all of these things and then go back and apply a number to them in the order of importance to you. So we have a worksheet that is, I think we've dropped it in the comments. Let me take a quick look. Yep. So if you look in the comments field, you are going to see the PDF companion. And I want you to pull this up because I think that this worksheet will really give you a good framework on all the things. So again, I want you to write down for yourself all the reasons. What are your cake? What's your cake, right? What does cake represent to you? And when you write down what it represents to you, and just pick maybe one for now, maybe one as we walk through this exercise. Below that, my cake is X. Write down why you believe you cannot have that thing. So for example, if you say, I don't think I can have a loving and fulfilling relationship because I don't know what one looks like because my parents didn't have one and I've always picked bad partners, right? So like these might be some of the things you're telling yourself about why you can't have that thing you really want. So do that. Give yourself a couple minutes, walk down, write those things out. And then when you've written out your why I can't have this statement, I want you to now reframe that into a why you can statement. And that is where you're going to try to make some shifts in your reframe about how you are thinking about a thing, right? So instead of approaching something from I can't do it because, it's I can do it because, or I can do it in spite of. I can. And then once you do that, it'll allow you to go deeper into write out like why you deserve to have the thing that you want. Like, why do you want it so bad? And then the last piece of the exercise is going to be to write out the step you're going to take to start eating more cake in your life. And you'll see that from the example. So I want to see, let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see if I do this right. Switcher. Just eat the cake. All right, so I'm technologically challenged right now, but that's okay because we can walk through this anyway. If you pull up the PDF, which is down below in the comments field, for example, what I gave you in the what I want section is I put to lose 10 pounds, right? We'll start with something easy, kind of everybody can relate to. So if the what I want is to lose 10 pounds, then I would drop down to the why can't I have it, right? Why is it a no for me? So I would put, I keep eating cake and cake makes me fat. And that's why I can't have cake, okay? Then I go back and I'm writing my I can statement, which is, no, I can have cake. It doesn't have to make me fat if I learn to just take a few bites instead of eating the entire cake, right? So giving myself permission to see that this can be accomplished. And then I drop down to why do I deserve to eat this cake? I like cake, and God wouldn't have made Betty Crocker if cake wasn't meant to be in my life. So that is my why I deserve it. And then on the how am I going to start eating this cake? For me on this worksheet, I would put, I will make room for cake in my eating plan. I will test out great cake recipes that I can enjoy, but with better ingredients, or I will just eat smaller amounts of cake without denying it completely. So this is where you have this opportunity to really make a shift in your life and create this framework to live out your dreams, to give yourself more joy, and to give yourself a lot more purpose. Again, there was a part of me that once wanted to hide breast cancer, a part of me that wanted to feel shame around a business lawsuit. But in both those situations, I did come to a couple of conclusions that were really good for me. And this framework was one of them. So the first one is the pain of that lawsuit is an experience that my customers can now benefit from. And it is an extra tool in my toolbox that I can give to others and say, don't make some of these mistakes. And I'm also not going to discount a 20+ year career in doing what I do well for a business that was only around for like 2.5 years. So these are the reframes that really put me in a place of power. So I'm coming at things with strength versus coming at things with weakness or timidity, and not letting shame me out of my best life, my best future, and doing what I do really well. And the same is with cancer. Being able to walk through that journey, get the support that I need, being very vocal about it, and allowing the people around me who love me to support me through that, and also finding the things that I needed to do for me while I heal. And that piece of community and the healing journey is so much what has been fuel for me to come back at this season of my life and say, oh, how can I help someone who's new to that journey, who's feeling all of these yucky things because this is new to them and they haven't weathered it yet, and that there's time. So in a short amount of time, I went from being a breast cancer survivor to actually being a place where, again, I sit on the chair of the board for the breasties.org and love assisting that beautiful community. And with that, I think, what I'd encourage all of you today is to use the framework. I hope that it's great for you. I hope you found value in today's talk. And I hope that if you did, you'll pay it forward with some hope for someone else with a donation to the Breasties. You can text Global Hope to 44321, and those ladies would be more than happy to receive your donation of hope and love so that we can continue to support these beautiful young ladies through a very serious and life-threatening disease, but one that, we're paying for it on research and community and wellness to combat these things. And at the end of the day, this is what I will say, because I think anytime we're talking about any form, people ultimately forget. And what I like to share with people is none of us know when it's going to be our time or what is going to be the thing that completes our time here. There's all kinds of things that can happen. Just because someone has an illness doesn't mean they're going to actually die from that illness. And it's important to not get caught in cycle of, oh, I'm so scared of this thing, this death, when really none of us know what's completely on the other side. There's a little bit of wonder and curiosity. Who's to say that we're not doing it right when our time completes here? So lots to ponder there, but that's for a different talk. A blessing on all of you before I go today. Watch over you and protect you. May your mind be soothed by peace and compassion and understanding. May joy fill your heart and purpose guide your path all the days of your life. And may you always enjoy cake along the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. It was such a great message about, both about just seeing what's in front of you and going for it, and also allowing yourself to, enjoy the fun things in life. I love that.
That's right.
That part of it too. I know it's a big part of your life too. So thank you so much for having over. And I know you mentioned the Breasties. Is that where people should go? Where can they find out more about that and about you? And yeah.
100%. They can head over to marydee.com if they want to stay connected. And then if thebreasties.org, we've got so many resources. And for any of you who are maybe influencers, and when I say influencers, you can influence 3 people. It doesn't mean you have to have a crowd of 1,000, but October is actually Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we have a lot of great campaigns to share with people that like the pictures and things are already put together that I'd love to share with you if you'd like to share them with your community to raise the awareness for breast cancer and helping people understand that it actually affects both men and women. But it can be, you can do a lot of preventative things if you just detect it early. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mary. It was great having you. And guys, we'll be up with David Muttner next. So that's going to be exciting.
Yay.
Thank
I
you,
love
Mary.
it. All right. Stay blessed, guys.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.